Yes, and welcome to Vasili's Garden, folks. I'm out here in a little, what would we call this? The Avenue of Honour. I suppose there's a big avenue here. And we've got our roses here and our spalier trees at the back, which I've just realised the lime tree's grown crazy and it's thirsty. Just a quick side note on that, when you see cupping of the citrus trees, the leaves like that, it's a sign of thirst. They're actually thirsty. So I'm going to turn the irrigation on. It's not going to kill it because the mandarine's fine, the orange is fine. It's just the lime because it's put on a lot of growth and it's just like crazy. Anyway, pruning roses. We're going to talk about pruning roses in autumn. Now, this is not the hardest of prunes we do, and not even the softest. It's in between. So normally in the spring, summertime, we cut them back a couple of buds or nodes so we can get another flush of flowers. And if your microclimate in your garden is well this time of the year, and I'm going to kill that dog, just walks through the English box like it's just nothing's there. Anyway, don't worry about that. If your roses are really taking off well, and you've got a nice warm spot for them, you may get another flush. Have a look at this bush one here. We've got some new growth coming on it at the moment. So there's a chance where this will flower again for us. In fact, it will, because there are some buds forming already. So this should have been cut back at least 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I missed out on doing that, but never too late with the roses because they'll always react really well. Now, there is a little bit of black spot on it, but nothing too severe to worry about. There's no yellowing of the leaves there or anything like that yet, which they're going to do quite soon. In fact, by the end of, or by mid-autumn, we'll start to see these ones going dormant and dropping their leaves, but we may just get another flush out of them. I don't know about the standards. They're holding their last flowers here. This one here is completely gone. There's no signs of new growth, or there is a little bit over here. This one is gone to the sky. Now we're going to cut that back as well. Now, in spring, summer, after they finish flowering, normally like this, you would only cut it back that far, 1, 2 nodes back down, or to the bush itself, where it's a nice contained size. But in autumn, we're actually cutting back a lot harder. Well, a lot harder in the sense about 50% of the bush plant or the shape of the plant is what we take off. If the climate's good, it'll burst again. You don't want to go into a heavy feeding regime now because you don't want it to put on a lot of growth and go hard in winter as well, which is going to cause the plant to lose its cycle. Well, not lose its cycle, but just cop a lot of black spot and mildew developing as the cold weather kicks in. So you want it to progressively go dormant and just assist it along the way by giving it a good prune, about 50% of the plant off. If your microclimate's good, you can give it a light top dress with a little bit of compost and black grit. That's all you need. You don't want to go too hard, otherwise it will grow more than you anticipate, and then you'll be cutting it back while it's still actively growing. Anyway, before we prune, more importantly, sterilising your tools. Now you can use metho, and that's a great way of doing it, just dipping it on, or if you're like one of us lucky fellas out in the industry, we've got our own homemade metho. So you just sprinkle a little bit on it like that. Is all you got to do. It kills all the bugs, all the bacteria, all the fungus, all the diseases on your tools. It's actually it sterilizes it. And as a matter of fact, sterilizes the insides of yourself too. Whew. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, cutting back, always don't cut the new ones, cut the old ones off. So the plant will actually tell you where it wants you to cut it. Look at this here. We've got a new growth coming on there, so we're just going to cut it just above that, on a slight angle, about 5 millimeters away from it, and that's what we're discarding. Now we're doing that all the way around. If there's no new growth, or if the growth is too high, like here, basically go down to the next leaf and take that off completely. So that's about 50%. So that's the sort of length I want to take off this plant. All this growth here, I'm gonna lose all that. Taking all that down, and always to an outward facing bud. I've just cut it to a bud there. Let me just show you slowly what I'm talking about. For example, all this here that you're seeing, all that it's too top heavy. We want to bring it back down to a lower level, and a bud that's facing out. Now there's no leaf there, but if you run your finger on your stem, you'll find there's a little bump there, and that's what we're cutting to, or just above, on an angle like that there. And we do that continuously all the way around, and remove any crossover of branches as well, so you don't want them rubbing. So sit back and watch me cut this back. slowly working through this. You see the new growth on top here? That's going to come off because that's just too high. So that's going to come down. That as well is going to come down. And I'm leaving some of the taller stems in there still. It's on its last legs. If I walk away tomorrow, that petal will just fall apart, or the flower will fall apart. So we'll just cut that down there. It doesn't grow quite uniformly this time of the year, folks, because, you know, it'll just push on energy where it feels stronger the most. And you can see it's going to be quite spindly too. They're not quite plump flowers as they normally are in spring or summertime. These may never really form properly. I mean, I know it's young, but still, well, it's not as young as this is here. That's the young leaf there. See the redness in it? Now, this has already gone to the green side, so I dare say this is actually going to, you know, not really perform that well. And inside here, a quick one. See all this young branch in here? It's quite young there. All that's growing through, and it's pushing its way through the middle here. We've got to get rid of that because that really is not going to perform at all well. So we're just going to take it off right at the base there, like that there. It's a lot cleaner, a lot neater, and we may have to do a couple more in here. So that branch here, that, I don't need it, take it away. So we don't need it growing back into the middle, opening it up. Now this eventually will also go because it's sitting on that side there. And these flowers, this is another sign that it's going dormant. See how they start to pink off? That's the cold weather kicking in. So your white roses, for example, like the icebergs and these standards here, there's a little bit of pink coming through there. It's not anything else but the change in the weather and the change of the season, which is causing that to happen. So, you know, at the end of the day, you may just, you know, in this case here, I'm just going to let them see them through with their flowers. But at the end, if they don't perform well, I'll come back and just cut them off so we don't waste any more energy on them. So that's not as hard as I was saying I was going to do, only because as I've looked at it, there's still a lot happening on this plant that I can't quite take off. But we're going to do the hard pruning winter. That's a lot better. Second thing you need to look out for is diseased. Well, look at that plant there and look at this one here now. I think we've done pretty well. We've just missed one over here. That's a spindly plant too. Oh, do I want that in there? Nah, cut it off, get it out. Airflow is important for roses. But look at this one here, except for this one shoot and a couple there to that there. Look how congested that is. Now that's done really well with its flowers. It's had a heap of flowers on it, but it's time for it to come down. We've got some big shoots coming out from the bottom. Those long green shoots there. They're going to be taken out as well. Whereas this standard rose, and you know what I really do? And when I turn the cameras off, I just get out my hedge trimmers and I buzz them. That's what I do. I buzz them, then I go back in there and I clean them up one by one like this afterwards. Otherwise, I don't get a chance to get to all of them at once. So all these can be basically pruned within 10 minutes with my hedge trimmer. Make sure they're clean. Make sure you put a bit of metho on the blades on those as well before you start, and then lubricate it properly. And give them a buzz if you've got a heap of roses, but you need to go back in there and clean them up if there's any tears that's been caused by the blade, by the two blades running together. This is what I'm looking for. Dieback. So we've got some dieback over here. Now that's canker. You need to take all that off. You can't let it go. You've got to cut it back to clean wood. You've got to try and get back inside there and get rid of it completely, because that will work its way back. I'm not sure you can see with the sun or the shadows. That dieback will continue its way back into the main body of the plant and work its way down the stem if it's left untreated. There's more on the other side. Have a look at this one here. Look at that there. Now that's worked its way already back into the knuckle. Let's hope it doesn't progress any further. So we've taken that off there. And look around, even for small branches, they don't necessarily have to be that long. They can be small like this as well. So that's another one there. You can see we've got a little bit of dieback. It's worked into that stem and it's worked up to the union. Any more? Go around and clean them up. And even this here, got to cut it right below that to a clean spot. I think I tore that. Might have to do that again. There we are. That's even worse. That's why, folks, have two pairs of secateurs with you. The big chunky ones, the anvils ones like this, and you get yourself nice little pointy bypass ones that can get into those nook and crannies that you need to get out. it's not going to kill it. But anyway, more dieback. So get rid of all the dieback. There's no real need to spray them. Cut back your roses, 50% is about the average. So dead, disease, damaged wood, crossing over of branches as well. Deadhead the whole thing by 50%. And if your plants are looking quite active, like I've got a couple of bushes there, as opposed to these standards, you can give them a top dress with a bit of compost and black grit. Black grit is what's going to help the flowers and the leaves actually stay on the plant a lot better and healthier, even through the colder weather in the seasons as they come through. Now, apart from that, just remember that our website is still active, folks. Our garden centre in Coburg's closed down. And on a happier note, we've got a lot of garden centres who are signing up. They've been calling us and leaving messages for us to get in contact with them. So we're looking forward to reaching out to the teams out in South Australia, New South Wales, and obviously Victoria. There's a heap of coming on shortly. Stay tuned for the announcements of which stores have come on board. If you've got one near you that's not carrying anything of our products or any of our products, in fact, reach out to them, reach out to us, and we'll make sure we connect with them and send them through all the catalogues and details that we need to give them so they can get on board as well. Otherwise, check out our website, vasili'sgarden.com. Our 3-day weekend sale is going to expire at midnight. Our big Malacca seeds are out. I don't know if there's any left since after we recorded this, because there was only a handful. Check that out on our website and use the coupon code WORD READY to get yourself an extra discount on everything already discounted. From me, Vasili, Maresi.